What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Dad Mods MX YouTube channel, where a bunch of Moto fans talk about the sport that we love like we have any clue what we're talking about, when in reality, we haven't the slightest. Let's just be real. We haven't the slightest. We can pretend like we do, all right? Just because you ride a dirt bike does not mean you have any idea what it takes to be there on Saturdays. But, and more particularly, Moto heads, Moto fans with dad bods, right? I used to be pretty decent with handlebars, and then I got all gray and had kids and started eating a lot of pizza, and now we're here. Started from the bottom and wound up still at the bottom. So I mentioned to you guys in the first video, there was a few specific topics that drove me to make this step, to create this new channel and dive into this Moto world that I love so much. We talked about the whole jet thing and this big to-do about, what do you mean he's more naturally talented, and how it just hurt a lot of people's feelings. That is yet to be uploaded, so I'm not sure what the comments are going to be on that. Pretty excited to read them, I'm not going to lie. The second topic that drove me to start this second channel is Mr. ET3. ET phone home, Mr. Eli Tomac. What a dude. What a dude ET3 is, or ET1 at the moment. And it's not, I mean, it's about him, but it's not about him. Get used to things not making sense, all right? Welcome to the Dad Mods channel, hosted by your boy, Saucy Dad. I just want to talk about the age of which people retire in the sports that we love, okay? Moto, in particular. Moto, it's been a thing that people retire before 30. That's kind of been the standard for as long as I've been a fan of motocross. Pretty much as long as Moto's been around. Some people went a little bit further, but it was always said that they were at the tail end of their career and it was winding down. And even Eli literally dominated all of Moto last year. And he's, as of right now, still holding to the fact that this is his last Supercross series. And he's not going to do outdoors. This is the last time we're going to see him. Will he line up for the Super Motocross 3 rounds? I mean, I think he'd be really silly not to, just with the purse and the style of tracks. We know how Eli does it, those Daytona style tracks. I think he'd be crazy not to do it. And then you have the chance to put your name in the record books as the first ever world champion, you know. Tom Brady retired this morning. Yep. I had real tears. I shed real tears after watching his announcement. I happened to be on Twitter when he dropped it. I saw it like 3 minutes after it went live. I had to sit down, and I had real tears, man. That dude walked on the field. I'm from Maine, by the way. I'm from New England. Grew up in the New England motocross scene. And always been a football fan. I played for 11 years. It always kind of allowed me. It was the one thing I could do while racing, snowcross and quads and all that. Some moto. But I practiced quads with a couple of my best friends that ended up making it into the pro ranks. Short-lived, but they did make it. Got factory rides. It just didn't go to plan once I got there, which is a lot more common than it going to plan once you get there. But we all know that as moto heads. We all know that. But Brady retired this morning, man. He walked on that field when I was 10 years old. I am now 34. He walked on that field for my favorite team that had stunk for long before I came around. And just kind of showed us what it felt like to be great for 2 decades. And then went down to Florida. And I'm not going to lie to you, I still watch the Pats games, but I kind of abandoned them to root for number 12 while he was down in Florida doing his thing. First year there, what's he do? Does Tom Brady things and goes and wins a Super Bowl. But the narrative for, I don't even know, the last 6-7 years, literally, has been, how much longer is he going to play? What does he have left to prove, which is nothing? Why is he still doing it? And then on the other side of the table is always somebody saying he's still one of the best in the league, still doing it at the top of he's still at the top of his game, which I can see both sides. I've always been able to see both sides. But as a normal human being, as a normal man, dad of 3, working my whole life like normal people do, I'm sitting here like, man, this dude works 6 months out of the year. Now, yes, you have to take care of your body in the off season, blah, blah, blah. The reality is his job is 6 months out of the year. And at 45 years old, he is being pressed to retire. Can you tell me how many of your wives would sign up for you to work 6 months out of the year and be retired by 45 years old? Who wouldn't sign up for that? He did an interview a handful of years ago. Somebody was talking to him about, why are you still playing? Blah, 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 blah. Aren't you sick of the grind? That was always kind of where everybody went with it. Aren't you sick of the grind? Aren't you sick of, the workouts and the practices and the getting up early and taking care of your body and blah, 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 blah. I mean, Moto, football, professional athletes are operating at a level that most of us just simply don't have the discipline or the desire to operate at. The sacrifice it requires, the dedication it requires, the consistency. It takes a very rare human being to be able to operate where all of these guys operate. In that interview that I'm talking about, they asked him, aren't you sick of all that stuff? And he said, I'm paraphrasing here, this isn't word for word. He said, I have spent, when you start talking about college and high school, I have spent 25, 30 years of my life mastering this game. And now, I think he was, let's say 40 years old. Now at 40 years old, the game is easier for me than it's ever been. I took care of my body. My body still does exactly what I want it to. I haven't lost any arm strength. I can still do exactly what I want to do on the football field, except the game itself is easier for me than it's ever been. I have learned it. I've seen it all. There's nothing you can show me that I have not seen before and that I don't know what to do against. I mastered the game. Now I am enjoying the fruits of my labor. All that sacrifice, all those hard days and adversity, I am now reaping the benefits of that. I am now reaping the benefits of everything I've learned. And I was just like, man, that makes so much sense to me. And then when you start talking about where medicine is today, what we know about training and how to prepare the body and what we do and don't need to do to stay at that top operating level, it just makes me think about Moto. Like at 30 years old, it's done. I hate that because I wish I knew where it was coming from. Is that his desire to not do it anymore? Like strictly, genuinely Eli's desire. Eli doesn't want to do it anymore. I find it very hard to believe, coming off domination in 2022, that he went into this year saying, yeah, I don't really want to do this anymore. He is like flirting with so many records, putting his name in the top 3, top 2 of all these different statistics, putting his face on the Mount Rushmore of Moto, right? Which you could pretty much, you could at least argue that it's already there. It's kind of hard to say it's not at this point, especially if he goes on to do what it looks like he's going to do this year. But my point is, just like Brady, he's mastered the game. He's mastered the game. It is easier for him now than it's ever been. That is not saying it's easy. Listen, if you know anything about Moto, it is the opposite of easy. It is easier than it's ever been to get the results that he's getting, right? I couldn't even believe my eyes in Anaheim Saturday night. He came out of that corner and just kind of, I don't even know, I haven't looked closely enough at it. I don't think he cross-rutted or anything. He just kind of had a bad angle off the face and went right to the side of that table, and thank God for Tef blocks, man, because I don't know that he would be walking, let alone riding. That was gnarly. That was gnarly. He hit his head really hard. Not a big fan how that's not talked about in Moto, because that's a really dangerous thing. You take enough of those, that has permanent, really scary after effects. Not a big fan about that. I know it's there and they are talking about it, but in the NFL, for instance, if that happened, he would have been pulled off the track. That he would not have been allowed to continue competing. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. I'm not going to get into the examples, but if you're a fan of football and you know any of the CTE history, that's not something you want to play around with, man. That is not something you want to play around with. The quality of life after the sport, after retirement, post-retirement, quality of life, man, that can be big time dictated by blows to the head and how long you allow yourself to heal from that. However, when he made that mistake, it was shocking to me, and you could just hear in every podcast I've listened to, every rider I've heard talk about it, Daniel Blair and Ricky Carmichael after the fact and the post-race show, everybody just shocked. Just, wow, we saw a chink in his armor. He's not an alien. He is human, blah, 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 blah. That proves my point. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Eli shooting off the face and landing on the Tef blocks is like Brady throwing an interception to a defense that he's seen a million times. They're still human beings, and they can still make a mistake, but that doesn't change the fact that the game, for both of these individuals, the game is easier for them than it's ever been. And the reason that this kind of hits me so hard is because of my age, and I would just hate to think that it's because of his wife. A lot to do with Brady is his family and blah, blah, blah. I know he has a lot of outside pressure. It's obviously not his body, right? This is a moto show, not a football show, but I just feel like the comparisons, there's a lot of parallels between a lot of top tier athletes. You could use a bunch of examples. I just happen to be moto football. That's the only things I watch, the only things I follow. And I follow bothly with a lot of passion. I love both a whole lot because they raised me. Both sports raised me. I feel like the character required and the character building that takes place in both of those disciplines is unlike anything else on planet Earth. Now, there's sports that I have no experience with that might be just as beneficial or build just as strong a character. I just don't know anything about him, so I'm not going to speak on him. But man, to think that this dude, who's at the absolute top of his game, top of it, he makes the first mistake of the year, completely wads himself, does a cartwheel, looks like Gumby on the side of the top of that table. To think he's coming into Houston with a red plate and a 4-point lead still, man, I don't know how good that is for everybody else. He made that mistake. He got a little reality check. He was brought down to planet Earth. Because with anything, when you're dominating at the absolute highest level, not that I can speak from experience, but just from watching these things over the years, you can get a little complacent. It's extremely easy to get complacent, which is why it's so rare to see somebody win 7 titles in something like football, to see somebody win everything for an entire calendar year of motocross. I'm not counting the overseas stuff, right? I don't think he was giving it, he had no reason to give it the same effort that he gave all the American stuff. And yet he was still right there. Kenny had to ride his tail off to beat him in Paris and whatever else. I would hate to think the pressure to retire is coming from outside forces. I don't think you'll ever truly be, I don't think anybody that walks away from something they have quite literally dedicated their entire lives to. Again, I'm going to bring up Brady. He's 45 years old. He has dedicated his life to this game since he was, 12? Dude, that is gnarly. Like, that's gnarly. Think about Eli. Think about when Eli started riding bikes and when he started taking it seriously. He's 30 years old. He's a grown man with a family. What is life without Moto? He has no idea what life is without Moto. Now, I'm not saying there isn't life after Moto. Obviously, there is. There's a great life after Moto. You're going to spend a lot more good years outside of the sport post-retirement than you are in the sport. Would never argue that. But why rush it? Why rush these guys off the field, off the track? Why? You have mastered the game. Like, you don't make the Chase Sexton mistakes, the Jet Lawrence mistakes, the Faulkner mistakes. Look at PC. Look at PC. Shimoda, Hammaker, McAdoo his arm. God, that was disgusting. The fact that he took 6th place in a professional moto with his arm looking like a scarecrow, dude, an overstuffed scarecrow. That was gnarly. He is one tough SOB. But the entire team, Cowie, it's all fill-in riders now because everybody's hurt. Everybody's hurt. AC keeps pulling hole shots and just fading because he's trying to build that foundation again. Absolutely love AC. Who doesn't? My point is, Eli's past. He's mastered that. He doesn't do that anymore. He knows when to shut it off. He knows when to turn it on. He knows when to ride that line and when not to. He made a mistake. I think that's really bad for everybody else. Like I just said, I really think that little reality check is what's going to seal the deal for him this year. I still have him winning the title. No, I just think like I said, these lessons that he's learned can't be learned. The time, you can't cheat the time invested, right? Especially with Moto. You just cannot, you can't possibly learn the lessons that he's learned in a shorter amount of time. I really don't think you can. So that's, in saying that, you're also saying by 30 years old, that's it. Like, by the time you finally learn all these lessons, by the time you finally master the game, you're going to leave? Why? Like, why not reap the benefits of all the sacrifice you've put in? This is the good year. These are the good years. These are the gimme years, kind of. I'm not going to say he's just going to win titles as long as he decides to stay, but who's going to say he wouldn't? Who's going to say he wouldn't be number one on all of these statistics if he just wants to keep going until he is? Why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't he be? He had this reputation, and it's kind of funny how this happens with premier athletes, but the better you are, the more every little mistake is just held against you. It's never made sense to me. Like, you're better off being middle of the pack so that you make a bunch of mistakes and nobody cares. The top guys, every little mistake they make is put under a microscope. It's held against them. It's, well, will he do this again? You mean from round 5 last year? What? I guess, right? It's Moto. We see people get hospitalized at the practice track every day. PC, all the 250 guys didn't even get to start the East Coast, you know? I don't know. I would just hate to think that the pressure to retire is coming from outside forces, because I think that resentment will never heal. I don't think that's something you'll ever get rid of. It's always going to be what could have been, you know? In the moment, who cares? It's not a big deal. But when you become Jeremy McGrath's age and you're sitting there on these Zoom calls with Daniel Blair talking about, he's going to catch you, and he's going to take number 2. How much cooler would it be to be McGrath and be like, yeah, these kids are still nowhere near me. Nobody will ever catch me. That's because nobody will ever, and granted, McGrath retired super young. He was 28, 29, right? He was the oldest to ever win a title, and I think he was 29. Eli just beat that record at 30. He could keep beating his own record. But the field is deeper than it's ever been, obviously. The training is better. It's all everything is better than it's ever been. But also, medicine is better than it's ever been. Recovery, understanding of the human body, everything is better than it's ever been. So you're going to tell me now that you can keep it together and you can kind of like, I don't want to say back off, but in a sense you can back off. You don't have to send it on that like sketchy line to win races. He looks so in control, dude. He just looks so solid. All of outdoors, he looked so solid. He's mastered the game, man. Why walk away now? Why not just stay and reap the benefits of everything you've put into this, the sacrifices you've made? He could literally just rattle off wins for the next 3-4 years. I firmly believe that. I don't know if he'd win every title. Probably not. This is Moto. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, he has sacrificed his whole life to get to this point. And when it's over, it's over. When it's over, it's over. When you're done, you're not going to retire for 2 years and then come back at 33 years old, 34 years old. We saw Dungey do it. Gave it everything he had to be around 5th place or so. Flirted with a podium here and there. But by the end of he was done with it by the end of the season. He had an offer to ride Supercross. He was done with it. It's different to retire and then come back. That's a different story. I think it's really hard to find that momentum and that mindset again after you move on from it. We get one shot at this life, man. We get one shot at this life. And when you have the opportunity to leave a legacy as special as what Eli is doing, I just think it's going to take somebody like Eli. And I honestly can't think of a better opportunity, a more perfect individual to break the mold, to shatter the mold than Eli, like Tom did for football. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is about 40 years old. He's flirting with retirement, but nobody's talking about the fact that he should or that he's too old. You realize before Brady, Aaron would have been a dinosaur. And Brady's almost 6 years older than him. That's crazy. In Moto, you're talking about, 35 compared to 29. That's a huge deal. That's 12 seasons. 12 seasons between Supercross and outdoors in those 6 years. That's gnarly, dude. That is so much opportunity to build legacy and all this stuff. And I get it. That doesn't matter to some guys. Almost all of them. It's not why they're doing it. They just want to build some wealth for their family and blah, blah, blah. But I just think, man, you have invested all these years, all this time, all the broken bones and recovery and injury. You've mastered the game finally. And now you're going to walk away from it? I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine living with that. Why not? Man, enjoy these years. Enjoy these years that you have earned with blood, sweat, tears, literally. You've earned this, man. Star's going to keep him as long as he wants to do this. They have said so publicly. And why wouldn't they? The dude he's dominating. He's dominating. Chances are, if he doesn't wad himself, I forget, what Moto was that? That was Moto 3, so I forget where he was. What position was he in? I don't know. I don't think it's, well, Chase was ripping, so maybe he doesn't win. But you're going to tell me he's not on the podium? If that doesn't happen, he's on the box. He's on the box, probably still has a double-digit lead, points-wise, you know? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of my opinion here. Let me know what you guys think about this. I think it's going to take somebody like Eli to shatter this mold. Why does Moto have to be a 10-year career? When it's as gnarly as it is, you look at Forkner, right? My heart goes out to the kid. Absolutely kills me. I literally almost threw up when I saw him hit the ground because I saw his leg live, not the replay. I happened to be looking in the right way or whatever. For whatever reason, I saw exactly what happened when it happened. And I was like, he's out for the year. And then they showed him pounding the ground and just the pain. And I don't even think it was the pain. It was just the heartbreak in his face that you could see inside his helmet. Tore me up, man. Tore me up. Eli has paid his dues. He has earned to be where he is, man. Keep it going. Keep it going, you know? I don't know. Show these kids. So to me, there's a couple layers to it. Show the kids coming up that you don't have to panic when you're 18, 19 years old, that if you're not winning everything, you're going to fail. You're a failure. Do you realize what it would do to the sport for somebody like Eli to push it and keep winning? Not just being out there, right? Not just being out there. That's different. Not just rolling around in 8th place for the next 3-4 years, but to be a podium guy till who knows, 35, let's say mid-30s, 35 years old, podium guy for the next 5 years. Shatter the mold. That's going to make the Andersons, the Barshas, the Roxons, the Craigs, all those guys, the Dinos, all those guys that are getting up there in age, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to keep going too. Why not? I'm going to keep going too. It takes somebody like Eli to shatter that mold. For a sport as gnarly as Moto, for the 1 in a billion odds that you have of making it to multiple title wins, multiple championships in that sport, the chances that you have from the very beginning to the end of being a multi-time champion, dude, it is slim to none. Slim to none. And he's done it. Like, he's earned where he's at. He has made the sacrifice. He's paid his dues. He has earned where he's at. Why does it have to be a 10-year career? And when I say that, I'm talking about the wealth. I'm talking about, like, why when he retires, yeah, his kids might have a starting block, but he's not generationally wealthy. This dude that has literally risked his life. I mean, if we're being real, some people roll their eyes and they think that's being extreme or exaggerating. Absolutely not, my friend. Absolutely not. The best of riders could have a motor seize on the face of a Supercross triple and never walk again, maybe worse. Never walk again, maybe worse. It has happened more than once. He has made that risk his entire life. He has taken that risk his entire life, I mean. Shouldn't he be generationally wealthy? You look at the stick and ball sports, you know, somebody like Tom's great grandkids will be wealthy because of Tom. Somebody like Eli that has dominated and done something that so few, when I say Mount Rushmore, I mean it. When you're talking about somebody that's done something in such a dangerous sport, accomplished what very few will ever match or top. Why isn't he generationally wealthy? You know? Why isn't Eli generationally wealthy? I know Ricky's great in the booth, but Ricky should never have to work again. Ricky's kids shouldn't ever have to work again. Not out of necessity. A 9 to 5 should never be in consideration. They should have opportunity because of the sacrifice he made to do what he did, to accomplish what he accomplished, to stay on top for that long. I just don't think that should be worth one lifetime of financial freedom. You know what I mean? Teach these kids, these amateur kids coming up and younger, and even the kids in the 250 class now. Do you realize how much less self-destruction there would be if they didn't think they had to get everything in 8 years? Can you imagine that, dude? Like, I have to get my pension built in 8 years or my whole family's screwed. The pressure. And that's just working a normal job. Go ahead and eat that pressure and then go sit on a gate with the fastest riders in the world and tell yourself, if you don't win, man, you just let everybody you love down. You let them all down. That should not be, and it's only going to get worse, man. I don't know if you guys watched the Futures race today too. It's not going anywhere. These kids coming in, and where this sport is headed, it's only going to keep getting gnarlier and gnarlier, dude. Like, seriously, it's only going to get more gnarly every year. Teach these kids they don't have to panic. They don't have to get everything done in 8 years. It can be a lifelong career if you do it right. Teach them how to do it right. Yeah, you got to pay your dues. You're going to take some tumbles. You're going to break some bones. You're going to get hurt. But learn. Don't take that as an L. Take that as a lesson. Learn. Keep learning. Keep building that foundation until all of a sudden your foundation is so strong that when you fly off the side of the face of the beginning of a rhythm section, nobody can believe you did it. Nobody can believe you made that mistake. I don't know, man. I know I don't think he's going to. It doesn't look like he has the desire to do what I'm talking about doing and break that mold and shatter that mold and push it into his 30s. It doesn't look like he's going to be that guy, which more power to you. You know what I mean? He and his immediate family are going to be all set because of what he's done, you know? I just hope it's coming from in here. The way his girl said in that A1 video, I think it was it Dirt Shark's video? One of the videos from A1, she said, this could possibly maybe be our last A1. We'll see. You know, you never really know. I just didn't really care for the way. I know she's an awesome person. Awesome chick. I don't know her personally, obviously. But everything I've seen from her, and you can just tell Eli, the kind of guy he is, I don't think he would settle down and have a family with somebody that wasn't A1. No pun intended. She seems like an awesome chick. Awesome human being. But just the kind of the tone and the way she said it, it didn't sit right with me. I'm like, I don't like to see that. I really hope everybody is just all, oh, dude, are we racing this year or what? Not, so are we racing again this year or what? You know what I mean? Because you'll never get it back, man. You'll never get it back. You will never be able to just come back and be what you were. It's just not, Moto doesn't work that way. Everybody keeps progressing, keeps growing, keeps learning. The sport keeps getting faster. You can't just disappear, come back and pick up where you left off. So when it's done, it's done. When you call it quits, when it's over, it's over. You'll never get it back. At 30 years old, like, dude, I'm 34. If you told me, I don't even know, and I can't even think of a comparison because it's just so far out of my realm of reality. I can't even think of a comparison. Now, I wouldn't want to not do anything with my life, and I don't think he'll not do anything. I think he'll always be around. But when you're talking 1, 2, 3 more years and how massive of a difference they would make in the legacy he leaves, in the financial freedom window that he earns for his family, the difference for what's a couple years? You've done this your entire life. What's a couple years? You're still retiring 30 years before anybody else is going to be able to, especially these days. If anybody else can, that's a whole nother topic. Can people even retire anymore? Probably not. Probably not. Not until you're pretty old anyways. Dude, you're retiring with 2/3 of your life left to live. Like, what? Give it a couple more years. Completely change this sport. Or at least start changing this sport. We saw Justin Brayton be really competitive for however old, I think it was 37 or something last year, right? He won the Australian Supercross. I know it's nowhere near as competitive, and it's not even on the same planet. I get it. But you know what? He's still a bad dude on a bike. He's almost 40. I don't know, man. I just, it's going to take somebody like Eli to change this narrative and help progressing the sport in that sense. Like, I look at these kids, these amateur kids that still have so much to learn. And I try to put myself in their shoes because, again, I didn't live it for my life, but I was quite literally in the passenger seat. Literally, I was in the passenger seat for a couple of these storylines, and you just see the pressure. Like, it's now or never. As a teenager, dude. What? As a teenager, it's now or never. I don't know, man. I just don't know. And I wish somebody would change that. I think you're seeing it happen naturally. You look at Anderson, has no desire to retire. Barsha's been starting to talk about it, I think Craig's going to push it as long as he can, as long as he starts doing a little bit better. I feel so bad for the dude. It's a pretty rude awakening, but another topic for another day. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's kind of happening naturally. But when we're talking about ET3, man, this dude is winning races at a crazy rate. And he just looks so incredibly comfortable and stable and put together and solid that when he falls down or makes a mistake, it's like, did that really just happen? This is still Moto, dude. He's still riding the same track that you just watched 19 people grenade on in the 250 class. You know what I mean? It's the same track, except he's on a bike with more power. It's just he has mastered the game. He has mastered the game. It's going to take somebody like him to break that mold. You don't have to try to race the clock. I don't think it's that way anymore. I think where medicine and training and recovery and our knowledge, the bikes themselves, where everything is and where it's headed, I just think we need to start opening that window, taking some of the pressure off these young guys that are coming in or that are already in the 250 class. Take some of that pressure off, man. There's so many things in life that you can point to as an example that when you back it off just a little, sometimes you're better. When you try a little bit less, sometimes you're faster. When you don't wring out a gear and quite as much and you just go to a taller gear, you're faster. I really hope this isn't his last season. I really hoped Brady wouldn't retire this offseason, so it crushes me that he did because I know that doesn't come from in here. I know his heart isn't ready to walk away because he's still one of the best. You cannot tell me, if you're a football, you cannot tell me there's 15 quarterbacks better than he will be this upcoming season. You just can't tell me. He threw more balls than any, he led the league in pass attempts and completions, I'm pretty sure, this past season. at 45, bro. Like, that didn't come from in here. So it kills me. Somebody that dedicated their entire life to this sport, gave so much to the game, to teach kids coming up, to help progress the sport, to help make these athletes' quality of life better. I mean, what he's going to leave behind is it's like it's unlike anything that's ever been done before. That's pretty well known. But Eli could do the same thing. Eli is literally in Brady's position for Moto. He really is. He's not quite that wildly he's not that much older. Like, the age difference isn't some crazy age difference yet. But I think he could get there, is my point. My point is, he's got another 5 years of competing, like really competing, left in him. I would wager to bet he definitely has it left in here. Now, are the people in the house, are the people around him, what's the tone of voice when that comes up? What's the tone of voice when we talk about this being the last year? Is that coming from in here? I don't think so. And if it's not, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Are you joking? This person that you love and care, I'm talking about his family now. This dude that you love and care about so much is finally reaping the benefits of all these years of sacrifice. He's finally just having success, and you can just see how happy he is doing it. He's 30 years old. Why would you rush him off the track? Why? Why would you rush him off the track? I get that it's dangerous. I mean, we all know that. I feel like everything I talk about on this channel, should make a little disclaimer. I get it, dude. You could end up paralyzed on practice day. The danger and the risk associated with Moto, not debatable. It is gnarly. It is gnarly. I get it. But that's my point, though. You were okay with him doing it while he was being sketchy. You were okay with him going out there and accepting this risk, accepting the risk level throughout all these years. Now that he's not making those same mistakes, now granted, I know he literally just did. I get it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The frequency of those, it's like I just said, it's kind of shocking when it happens because it never happens. That's from experience, man. That's from the foundation that he's built. How incredibly solid this dude is on a motorbike. You know? I don't know, man. I'm just a huge fan of the sport. I want to see it progress, and I don't want to see these kids continue to just detonate themselves because they feel like they have to pack their whole career into 8 years. Chill, dude. Get some gate drops. It takes some people a minute to be in front of 50,000 people and be able to just execute. That's not a natural thing for most people. It's just not. You know, you're going to make mistakes. And unfortunately in Moto, one little mistake, one little brain fart could be 6 months off the bike or worse. That's 6 months less training. That's 6 months less lessons learned. Depending on the injury, you might not be able to do anything at all to stay in shape. You might have to, you know what I mean? It might set you back so far being off the bike for however long it is. Excuse me. So anyways, that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Yeah. I just in all sports, when you push them forward, when progression happens, it's good for everybody, and it's good for the long-term picture, the biggest picture. How much better would Moto be if these kids didn't come in thinking they had to just like set the world on fire as, before they're a legal adult, for God's sakes. I look at Hayden Deegan, 16 years old, and 90% of social media was like, oh, what a sandbagger. Why isn't he racing pro yet? He's never going to go pro. At 16? Dude, I would never say on camera what I was doing at 16 years old. Ever. Ever. I was involved in Moto. I couldn't have been a pro, I'll tell you that. Not even just from ability and work and whatever. I wasn't mentally ready for that. That's the other part of shattering this mold. It's like, dude, mentally, these guys, they're not even adults yet. By the time you mature enough to really understand the risk and how to manage that, you're being told you need to retire. You've been doing it for too long. We don't want to do this anymore. You need to walk away. What? Now that I have it figured out, now that I am mature enough and old enough and know how to manage it, now I have to walk away? I don't know, man. I just think by people like Eli pushing this envelope and shattering that mold, it's going to allow these kids to take their time, which is going to lead to better racing. It's going to lead to more long careers, and then longer careers for all of those riders, I mean, the East Coast, look at the East Coast. We haven't had round 1 yet, dude. And who's going to battle with Hunter? Michael Moseman has the speed. I would love to think he's going to keep it on 2 wheels and push Hunter all year long. But will he? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say somebody's going to do something that you've never seen them do, because again, he's getting older. So in his mind, whether it's a topic of conversation around him or not, he knows the sport that he occupies. He understands his window every season closes a little bit more. So he's just trying to fit it all in, every year. So will he do something he's never done before? I hope so. Because, man, you think the West Coast is boring. I think it could be exciting for some of these amateur kids that it sounds like Hayden and Talon Hawkins and Chance Hymas, who Chance isn't amateur anymore, I guess. He's going to do select East rounds, supposedly. I don't know why you wouldn't just have him do the whole series. But again, at the same time, it's kind of sketchy to do the whole series because of that mindset. Because of that, well, if I'm out there, my name is my name. I'm supposed to be up front. So I'm just going to send it until I either end up in the second row of the stands or I win the race. They shouldn't have to feel that way, man. Not in 2023. 20 years ago, I get it. I was literally there. I get it. We don't need to do that anymore. The understanding that we have of how to recover and, I don't know, how to prepare and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, though. I'm going to stop rambling because I could literally talk about this, as you can tell, all day long. I think this is a big deal. I think this is a huge part of Moto and making the sport progress longer. The fact is, we all want Moto to go mainstream. We all want Moto to get bigger, right? That's better for everybody involved. That's better for all the media guys that we love. That's better for all the riders that we love. That's better for the teams. It's better for the sponsors. The fact is, our sport is not our sport without the stars on the track. It's just not. Hunter versus Shimoda with Hammaker there and Jordan Smith and who else does Star have? Thrasher. Big year for Thrasher. But there you go. Big year. He's won 2 Supercross races. Do you realize how many people on the gate cannot say they've ever podiumed? and I think it's kind of an unspoken thing. If Thrasher doesn't do well this year, he's not going to be on Star next year. They can't invest in him anymore. You know, if he's with this class, how demolished it is before it even starts, and unfortunately, because of this panic, need to do it now mindset, we all know what's going to happen after Houston and next round. We know it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner. So I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts on this. Yeah, I appreciate you hanging out. Hope you guys are digging the channel. I love this sport. I absolutely love motocross, love supercross, love the athletes, the storylines. And I just want to see everybody succeed. And I want to see that pressure. Now, there's always going to be pressure to be great. There's always going to be pressure to push the limits whenever you're talking about something as gnarly as moto, as pro moto, more specifically. There's always going to be pressure. But I would just love to see that pressure lifted a little bit to where it just lets these kids operate with a little clearer mind, a little less panic, a little less now or never, you know? I just think we would see so many of our stars on the track more often than vice versa. Or than the alternative, than we currently do. So, anyways, Dad Mod Squad. I don't know. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if there's anything you guys would like to talk about on here. This is just a Motoheads place to chat. Okay? Someplace you don't have to be politically correct. Someplace you don't have to see a guy in a polo talking properly. That's not me, man. That's not me. One of the reasons why I've never tried to get into this space, because that's not me. I'm just a moto head, love the sport, and I just want to talk about it. So I'm anxious to get these videos up and see the response. Let me know in the comments what's some stuff you guys want to talk about. Next episode, I want to get into the whole amateur scene a little bit, talk about futures. What a track for your first ever night show. Dude, can you imagine sitting there watching 250 Moto 2 and being like, okay, we're up next, huh? You just see literally the best riders in the world just grenading. Oh my God. You just hear the crowd. Oh, and it's all the best guys just cartwheeling through California. Man, that was a gnarly racetrack. So I would like to get into that. I think the Futures program is super sick. The fact that they put the main in the night show, dude, what that's going to do for these kids. I saw Talon Hawkins, Hayden Deegan, Caden Braswell, Chance Hymas. They're all on the entry list for Houston. So should be exciting if they all show up. I don't know if they all will. I'm pretty sure they all have I know Deegan has his points. I guess Talon does. I don't know where he would have got him. Gage Linville, he raced the Australian Supercross Series, so I was pretty surprised to see him in the Futures class. And I was also surprised to see he didn't do very well, but he just didn't look very fast. Maybe he was injured, or who knows? The track was sketchy. It was kind of wild to see Hayden do exactly what Jet did in the same spot. But anyways, man, I love Moto. Moto's so sick. I love this sport. Absolutely love this sport. I cannot wait for this weekend. And I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. Yeah, I'm so used to doing my sign off from my music reaction channel that I don't know what to say at the end of these videos. I'll still a work in progress, as my wife says. Don't listen to her. She has no clue what she's talking about.